Hi, guys. So, tonight we are talking channeled readings. What are they? How do they differ from normal tarot readings? What happens if the person I want to come through doesn't, and so on? So, first and foremost, what are channeled readings? Channeled readings are readings where spirit decides to come through the cards. And I found, yes, I can medium, I can channel without the cards. However, most people tend to react better to the cards coming through, especially with a specific meaning. So think of it as a combination of skills, if you will. It's the ability to allow spirit to come through me with whatever message they want, and I'm using the cards to help kind of filter through what that message is. Now, when spirit comes through, it comes through in such a fashion where I tend to almost hear like a chirping, and that's honestly the best way to describe it. They tend to come through behind and up. Doesn't matter if I'm sitting, standing, laying down, what have you. They are almost always behind and up, like they're over your shoulder talking to you. Do I hear words per se? Sometimes words will come through. More often than not, I will get images that will appear, or a sense of smell will appear. And those are the two most common and biggest things that I will receive when I'm talking to spirit or spirits coming through to me. Now, with that being said, I've had questions before about how am I going to know that what you're telling me is something that's actually from spirit and for me? Well, first and foremost, that is, I've kind of described how those readings are a little different than a normal tarot card reading. A normal tarot reading, I'm just reading the cards and telling you what the cards are telling me. I'm not someone who is book learned. I have read books, I have books on tarot. However, I didn't sit there and memorize the little book that comes with the cards or any other book that's out there that is telling you what tarot is and what each card is specifically supposed to mean. That is the biggest difference between the readings that I do and the readings that you might come across, see somebody at the fair or in a metaphysical type shop and so on. If they don't read by intuition and they don't read the same way that I do, then a lot of times what you're going to get is a reading that really doesn't mean much to you and that doesn't really sit right with you because that reading isn't geared towards you and your situation. I personally, for people that I have read for, tend to have a fairly high accuracy rating. That's me. I'm not trying to brag or toot my own horn. I'm just stating what people have told me is the truth, is their experience with my reading for them and how accurate it is. Have I been wrong before? Sure. Everyone has. I have not met a single person out there who reads cards, whether they are book learned or whether or not they read similar to how I read, that has not been wrong or completely way off base in their readings. So that's kind of how those two readings are different. When spirit comes through to answer the question that I was getting to and kind of derailed my thoughts on, there is always something that will come through for the person I'm reading for that will mean not a damn thing to me. However, it will mean everything to the person I'm reading for. For those of you who saw the channeled reading I did for Gina, she had commented on that reading, how accurate it was, and that it really hit home for her. What you guys didn't see is the conversation I had with Chet, and it was a lengthy conversation through text message back and forth, and we were kind of discussing and discussing and talking things out. And there were several elements in that reading that meant everything to him. I didn't even think twice about it. Now, the person who is Chet, understand Chet is a pseudonym. So Chet isn't going to comment directly on that video because he's choosing to maintain his anonymity. I cannot talk today to save my life. But the things that were mentioned to me were the hair, the cologne, and okay, I didn't even think twice about it when I was doing the reading. But here's something else. I had no way of knowing until the conversation later that his late son occasionally referred to him as Pops. I had no way of knowing until that conversation afterwards that he had put his girlfriend on a pedestal. I had no idea. Those are the types of things that come through in a reading when I'm doing a channeled reading that let the person I'm doing that reading for know that, yeah, the person that they love and miss is coming through loudly, usually on my end, but they're coming through, and there's that message there. There was a secondary message that I ended up getting for Chet just through conversation, and I asked him, because the message was, he wants you to know that you didn't fail him. And then I turn around and I asked, do you feel that way? Come to find out, lo and behold, and I was completely covered in goosebumps when that message came through. Lo and behold, yeah, he very, very much feels like he failed his son. And I had no idea, not until I asked the question. So that's how the person that I'm reading for knows that, yes, their loved one is coming through. So what do you do if the person you want to hear from isn't the one that comes through? Well, you can try again at another date and another time. Maybe the timing is just off. Or maybe the person that comes through, and I've had this happen before, the person that comes through, or the individual or spirit that comes through, if you will, is someone who has a bit more pertinent of a message or something that they really want to come through in that moment. Perhaps it's somebody's late grandmother that has been trying to tell them something and they're not listening. Well, guess what? Grandma's going to come through. There is a bit of, we'll call it a misnomer. That's the easiest way to put it. People tend to associate the emotions that we feel here with those who have passed. So people think, and I've come across this more times than I care to count, a lot of people are convinced that, oh, if my late husband or late grandfather or grandmother or what have you were to know XYZ, they'd be rolling over in their grave or they'd be so angry. No, to both. When we come here, we're here to learn. We're here to accomplish things that we can't accomplish on the other side. So when, in my experience anyways, and I'm not saying that there aren't people out there who have had experiences different than the ones I've had, but in my experience, when spirit comes through, there is a whole lot of love, a whole lot of forgiveness, a whole lot of insight that is there that they didn't generally have while they were here. Not to say they didn't love you or that they didn't care as deeply, but what comes through is usually that. I have never encountered a spirit who is angry, vindictive, or jealous or anything like that. I've had people who have flat out asked me, well, sorry guys, bear with me, my allergies are kicking my trash and I'm getting over a sinus infection from last week, so you're hearing me sniffle. But I've had people, back to what I was saying, who have asked me, are they upset that I've moved on? Are they upset that I'm seeing somebody else? Are they upset that, and fill in the blank here? The answer is almost unequivocally, no, they're not upset. They want you to move on. They want you to have experiences that you are supposed to have in life. They want you to continue living your life. They don't want you to stop living your life and sit there in a numb existence for the end of time. That is not what Spirit wants. Those that we love who have passed want us to be happy. That's all they really care about, is that we are happy and that we continue to move forward with our lives. So that kind of answers that question as far as what do you do? Well, like I said, you can try again later and see if that person has opted to come through, if they're able to come through. Just because we're here and we live on this existence doesn't mean that those who have passed aren't busy doing other things. And that could be any one of a number of things. I don't know. I've never been to the other side, but I do know that too often people feel like they didn't want to come through for that long. Well, no, it's more along the lines of it takes a lot of energy, both on my end to be able to hear them, but also, and to try and convey the message that they're trying to pass along to me. But it takes a lot of energy from their side to be able to come through enough that I can hear them and understand them and understand the point they're trying to get across. So if you take that into consideration, then it makes a little bit more sense why when you're thinking you might get an hour-long reading with somebody or even a half-hour-long reading with somebody, they come through for 10, maybe 15 minutes, and that's if you're lucky. It has nothing to do with their depth of love for you. It has everything to do with the amount of energy that they are expelling, trying to come through and get their point and message across. Sometimes it's as simple as they want you to know that they love you, they're always going to love you, and that they're okay. Sometimes it's more extensive, but they're not. I've never had a situation where Spirit comes through and it's a back and forth conversation. I've only ever had experiences where Spirit is coming through and it is a message that they want to get across. So take that for what you will. Anyhow, there is the answer to some of my more commonly asked questions about channeled readings and what they are. They're also known as medium readings or paranormal readings, if you will, and those are the 3 hashtags that I tend to associate with those types of readings. So I hope that answers your questions. If you have more questions for me, then by all means, please drop them below. I want to do an Ask Me Anything video where you can ask me any question you might have. So drop your questions in the comments below. And if you haven't already, give this video a like. If you want to see more videos, especially channeled readings and such, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you click the notification bell so that way you're notified when videos post. I wish you all nothing but love and light, and we will see and talk to you soon. I hope you all have a good night.